All right. This is Wilson Sessions. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Special guest today is going to be Lord. Let's go ahead and introduce.
Will, play guitar.
God, guitar.
Perch, frontman.
Skip, drums.
Chris, bass.
Prior to Lord, for everybody going across, and what stuff are you bringing into it, and what stuff are you trying to put into it next?
Prior to Lord, I was in a band called Cayman. It started in 2001. We were around for about 4 years or so, and I think the original lineup split up, and then Lord started out of that as a side project, and basically went full time after about a year.
Well, before Lord, Kirch and I and Skip at one point as well were doing 2 different bands called Seventh Gate, which eventually became Koski. Put that on hold for some period of time, and I joined Lord about, I'd say, maybe 8 months ago. Will's band is really Will-based stuff. I'm not writing, but the place I'm kind of finding myself to be in this band is really to have on top of what you go with.
And well, for that aspect, when you're adding on top of stuff, like what is the mind frame that you go into? Is it more of a layering aspect, or are you just intertwining with music that's written preset?
Well, you know, what I really try to do is when I hear the riffs that he comes up with, that he brings to the table, I try to listen to what else I think I can hear inside of that, what I can think. I guess really to say, yes, it's more of a layering thing. What can I build on top of it?
All
right. We played in Koski together and done Ancient Astronaut together, jammed with all of these guys. I started doing vocals in the band when I was 15, and really didn't know what I was doing. I just did what came to me, what I felt the tone come out or whatever through my lyrics, and presenting that in a way that felt natural to me. So basically, with writing the newer Lord material, trying to be very honest with all the lyrics, and in doing that, when I sing them, it might help further me into something that I'm struggling with in my life as sort of a reminder or a mantra. So I try to make them all positive in a sense, even if what created the need for that positivity was some shit experience that happened. And ultimately, I want to create songs that I enjoy listening to, that they tell a story.
So you're using it as more of like a therapeutic tool with progression.
Yep.
Let's see here, I used to play a couple bands, Paul Cosby's at the game. Me, Kirch, and Will used to play a band called Little Scratch together. But guitar and international. But as far as what I want to add, what I bring to it is I want to bring textures and diversity and atmosphere. I want to take the riffs that these guys create, flesh them out, and give it the body and the soul that it deserves.
Alright, so basically just piling on the atmosphere, expanding the environment that you guys are playing in.
Yeah, because if there's a riff that's like, it makes you just want to like bash somebody's head in, that it should have a rhythm that accompanies that, and makes you feel that way. But there's times also where in the same song it breaks down to very slow and fluid. And I like to have that diversity in the textures.
Let's see, where I come from. Currently, my other main band is Radical Thrash, stuff. Prior to that, it was my only non-metal band, Pro Moon, which was actually rock, singing, just bluesy type stuff. And prior to that, it was all very forms of metal. Got recruited by the guys here to join during a time frame where Radical's drummer left to go to the Army, which we all knew was going to happen. It was just a matter of when he did it. He ultimately did. And it worked out real well. We got along. Of course, we all have very varied experiences, but very similar mindsets. As for what I'm bringing, continue to try as a bass player, just show that you don't have to be a lead guitarist to be quote-unquote center of attention or bring the game. That is, it's a mindset that I don't have to sit in the back and be a tree and just not do anything. That's for the performing aspect. And then, just generally speaking, add to the layers. Try not to always follow the guitar, but try to complement it. In some cases, if I don't play what the guitar is doing, hopefully it's that layer that just it creates the atmosphere and makes it either that much more punchier or that much more melodic, what have you. So, generally speaking, that's about it.
As far as equipment that you guys use for Lord specifically, we're talking about guitars, cables, drum heads, bass heads. Like, as far as like the stuff that you guys normally use.
My usual guitar setup has been, for the longest time now, has been 2 Gibson SGs, one tuned to drop B, one to A sharp standard. I also use an Ibanez RG8 8-string, a PV6505 Plus head. I want to say it's 120 watts, I think. Yeah. Marshall 1960 cab. They had various pedals. Got a delay. I couldn't tell you what name brands they are. DOD pedal. Got a Boss chorus and a Boss tuner and a Dimebag walk. And that's about it. I use GHS strings, Dunlop picks, and for the 8-string.
Okay, as far as the evolution of the equipment that you used when you first started, tell me the progression of the equipment you're getting now.
I'd say when the band first started, it was pretty much using any equipment we could get our hands on, whatever we could afford. I'm not even going to lie, it was just cheap from guitars or no-name shit, whatever we can get our hands on. That's what we use, and we always had problems with intonation because we tuned so low. So everything was always going out of tune. So I just kind of I looked at it as an investment. I ended up getting the PV head, which I couldn't afford at the time. I put it on a Guitar Center card. It took me forever to pay that shit off. And then picked up the Gibson and picked up another Gibson after that and just started investing. Because to me, I was taking music seriously. Might as well go ahead and put the investment and make the money, put the money into it. And you get what you put into it. So that's, to me, it's like I went from no-name brands and shit like that to, it's like, okay, let's make a sacrifice and put some money into this and just keep progressing and see how far we can go. I still want to get more stuff. It's just a matter of being responsible, being able to be Yes, the balance.
What about you going with an Ibanez?
The Ibanez was kind of to me, I felt at that time when we started writing, I felt like I kind of hit a wall with writing in those tunings. I don't know, to me, I felt like I painted myself in a corner with writing in drop B and A standard. And that's not necessarily the case because I'm writing all kinds of shit now, but at the time I was just like, okay, I want to try something different and bring a new element into the band. Something that was exciting for me to continue playing heavy music. So I was always a huge fan of Meshuggah and stuff like that, but I didn't want to sound like Meshuggah. I love that tone of it. So the Ibanez was kind of like was one of the first companies besides ESP that really was venturing into the whole 8-string thing. And we're making it readily available so anybody can go to the Guitar Center and just pick one up. So that's exactly what I did. Went to the Guitar Center, went down. My girlfriend helped me pay for it. I want to say it was like $400, and the first thing we did is I wanted to get to more practice, and it definitely forces you to play differently, which I'm sure Todd will attest to. That it forces you to play differently than what you're used to. You're actually relearning the instrument as you're trying to write something, and it's very easy to try to do the Meshuggah stuff because it's like you're doing a lot of single note riffs, but it's like in order for you to try to write something original within those new parameters and push yourself forward, to me, was what I was trying to do. And still keep it where it was this new direction, but it was still Lord. And, the first song we wrote was the title track to the Golgotha EP, and that's everything from just the most brutal doom to black metal to, just thrash. It was a good blend of all this stuff, and it was just like this awesome emotional climax to what was already a pretty heavy EP. And we already started writing a couple other songs we wanted to put on this new full length that we were working on, but I don't think we're going to be able to piece it together in time for the studio. But it will be released, hopefully. It will at least be recorded, hopefully. But it's. I don't want it to be like the full-on direction of where this band goes, but it's definitely a new dynamic to bring into what Lord does on top of what we are.
So my main guitar is a 1985 Gibson Explorer limited edition with factory installed calibrate, which you never see on Gibson ever. Then I have bare knuckle painkiller pickups for that. I'm using a mid-90s Mesa-Boogie triple rectifier with a 412 cap. And in this band, I really don't like using a lot of pedals or effects or anything. I just use my pedal. That's about it. Ogami Gold cables, they sound incredible. Way better than any other cables I've ever used. I use Ernie ball strings and DR strings. In addition to that guitar, for some of the other stuff in different tunings, I have a couple of Paul Reed Smiths, one custom 24 and then one Paul Allen SE model. And then some of the lower things, where he's using the 8-string Ibanez. I've been borrowing a guitar from Skip, actually a 7-string DR Mod. It's a lot of fun to play, but it's very, very different. I have a hard time getting used to it. It sounds amazing.
Like a single coil?
No, it's
really?
dual humbuckers.
Nice,
It looks a lot like an SG.
Oh, it was kind of like the old white one I used to have.
All right.
But it's 7-string.
And it's blue.
Yeah, baby blue.
Well, as far as like when you're talking about having like a little bit dialed back, as far as like not having the pedals or anything like that, is that a role that you willingly took anymore, or is that just how you chose to fit your style?
No, well, it's both, really. I'd say a lot of it had to do with, well, in Polkowski and other previous projects, I used to use Line 6 heads, and I really like using effects a lot when I was much younger. But I feel very trapped when I have a lot of stuff on the floor. And I feel very much like I have to spend a lot of time in one place focusing on pushing one thing to another. Really what I want to do is just move around all over the place. It's crazy. So for me to have, and I mean, like, there's in recent years, in the later years with Polkowski, I limited it down to just having a delay pedal and occasionally a noise reduction pedal, just for a lot of extra excess noise. Even with Lord now, I could use it, and I think that there in the future I might bring the delay pedal back. But right now, they're not writing anything that I feel is necessary to use it for. And to me, I'm so much happier with that setup of just having everything I need and nothing else that I don't. It feels great to have that, as opposed to having a lot more gear, a lot more cables. It takes the setup half as much time, maybe less.
My favorite mic to use for my purposes is the Shure Beta 58. I think it's just awesome all around, indestructible. I love it. When we record with Vince, he's got a distortion that we've really found works very well with my vocals. And each time we go in, I kind of tell him what I have in mind. So the last time we went in for the Golgotha EP, I was like, hey, remember what we did last time? Crank it up. You know, like this one's got more teeth. So I really don't know what it is that he's running me through. But I love that sound, and that sound that we've had since the Chief album has been using that same processor effect. As far as my noise is, I started with a circuit mender by Ghost Magnetic. It's got an on-off switch on one end, and then there's 3 on-off switches in between the middle row. So the top row is a low-frequency generator to a high squelch frequency generator. And if you flip down, then there's 3 theremins built in that add another soundscape to it. So I'll run those through a delay pedal, a DD6, I believe it is. Kind of a go crazy with it, you know. I also have a tremolo. I want to say it's a Dan Electro. My buddy James from Slurry gave it to me. It's orange. I got this pitch shifter thing that I use sometimes. Actually, tonight I chose not to use the noise. We don't always do it live. I found that sometimes it banks me, you know, depending on the setup of the place. And recently I had knee surgery. I want to move around. It still kind of hurts quite a bit, but I'm free and I don't want to have more stuff banking me anywhere. An unforgettable night for everyone that's here.
When you said you were adjusting your equipment according to the venue would certain elements of your equipment cater to like bigger venues or outdoor venues, or are you at the first indication?
Well, I always run it through this little 12-inch cabinet I have. It's some 15-watt bass practice amp. I've had, sounds like 15. I think I did vocals through it in my first band for a little bit. So I run it through that, and I'll use the vocal mic that I have. Sometimes the sound guy will say that, you know, he wants to mic it, or you know, let's run it through the PA. I can't control the gain output that's coming out of it, so that's why I like to run it through my own cabinet. And then if there's a place where I want the volume to crank up so it pops out and surfs up music a little bit more, and I crank the volume on the practice amp up, or you know, sing into the microphone while I lean into it and it's picking that up. It's a texture. It weaves in and out of the music that's going on. So it's something that I don't want to give somebody else control of if they have no idea what it's supposed to be, and it's noise. So for the most part, you know,
so basically
nobody's going to know.
Just using your A to B as whatever your sound wants to be, then you just want to line out and say, just turn it up.
Yeah, that's what I don't want to do. I want to run through that with practice. That way, they don't turn it way down or have it up way too loud when I'm about to do really harsh, shrieking, high-pitched stuff. Like that's supposed to, it's not supposed to hurt, you know?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Too much is too much, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
And I want it to be tasteful. I want it to add to what we're doing. We did a lot more of it in the past, and with a lot of the newer material, it's been certain parts have these little accents to it, or an intro or an outro or something like that. So also with a lot of these songs, when we go live, I kind of get excited adding noise to parts that we don't normally do. So that kind of banks me as well.
I use a Dark Horse percussion custom kit. Typically, it's 26-inch kick, 14-inch rack tom, 18-inch floor tom, custom color shells. Snare, I have a Pearl Masters custom 14x8. Hardware, I use Pearl hardware. Always when it's like indestructible. You never break their stuff. Tom always fell apart. Cymbals, I use Sabian APXs. Some of the AA bash rides too. I like big cymbals, 24-inch ride, 20-inch crashes, 15-inch hi-hats. Bigger stuff to hit, makes a lot of noise. I use Evans heads, the SD drive, the snare, the G2s on the toms, G-mat on the kick. Evans always lasted the longest for me. Good tone, I never liked remotes. Things that hold up and don't break make it way harder. Main thing.
Now with your setup, does it stay the same from when you do your normal practice to when you actually playing live, or is there any adjustments in your set?
It's absolutely the same. I like consistency. I keep it minimal, four cymbals, 4 drums. A little setup, but do more with less. I don't need to be doing, you know, the old perk drum rolls and shit like that. I just need something big. I can take a beating from sticks. I use Promark sticks. Yeah, 747 BMs.
Is that a lighter stick or a heavier stick? I'm not
heavier. It's about an inch longer than a typical 5B drumstick. A little bit more taper to it, but the longer, which I like, because I have big hands, so it's a little better for the playing. Smaller sticks are perfect for wrists.
Oh, just more wrist.
Yeah.
You a little bit more weight, more set.
Yeah, the bigger drums give a lot more weight, a lot more flexion to smaller kids. And I'm also a big dude, like 6'4", so when I sit behind like a regular sized kid, I'm pretty giant. I have like the biggest setups that people usually use, and still, you know, just about right.
He looks normal now.
Yeah. What? Nah, man.
For years, I was always playing 4-string Jacksons, 93 through 2003 models. Then I got introduced to this thing called A-tuning because guitars tend to be tunally challenged, whatever that term is. I learned how to play on a bass by upright, so it was always natural just to do 4 strings and go from there. And then, like I said, the first band that really got introduced to A-tuning was Pro Moon, even though it was a hard rock band. We're all metalheads and just did our melodic stuff, whatever elements we brought to it. I love my heavy gauge strings. Back then, I was using Sheehan's, and they were nothing but rags. So I realized I'll get a 5-string. Well, I never liked the 5-string. I've had 2 in my career, and it just wasn't my big thing. The first one was an Ibanez, and the other one was a Jackson. Now I've transitioned by accident to an Ibanez 6 and 2 LTD 6 strings because it just, compared to an upright, it felt the same thing. It just had 2 more strings and not as much of a fountain to go over on the neck. My best one is my Ibanez, which I'll be playing tonight. The neck's a little thin, but Ibanez has been known to be a fast neck, like no limit and stuff like that, who I'm a huge fan of. It took me a while to get used to it, but it's worked out. It's a better sounding one. My backup LTDs are more fatter neck, just give me a lot more, but I still got a hop on it, so I don't use it too much. Let's see, other equipment, my cabs are PVs. I got a 412, and then I also got a stack, which is PV 410 and a 15. The 412 went out of service because we played a show in DC, and the board got fried. And just recently got that board replaced, but apparently tonight we don't need it, so it's good. Effects, I'm usually bare bones. I like having the bass clean, the thick, but I have a bass pod line 6 rack mount that I was using. But we were playing a show in Hagerstown about a month or so ago, and I'm certain when the power went out, Todd and I, all of a sudden our half of the stage went out. I'm certain that effect sheet got nailed because out of the 9 channels times 4, only 1 worked. So something after that show.
So, as being newer, what message do you guys give to newer bands in the scene and newer bands just starting out? Period. From this side over. You think I'm bad? Started at the wrong end.
The bookends with a shoestring budget. Definitely have the backup, especially if you're a left-handed player. Be surprised how many violate that. The other thing is do what you really like to do, and hopefully, like I've been honestly blessed for my 15 or so odd years of playing live that I've gotten along with everyone, or they've recruited me because I bring A or B to the, because as I said before, I'm not a composer, but I at least bring the stage and technicality that works out, and just be honest. I mean, play what you like to play, because people will know that you're fucking off. And after, I can't think of much else, so you're next.
I would say number one, be true to yourself. Play the music you want to play. Don't be afraid to stand up for yourself. Don't be afraid. Music, I know for me and I believe these other guys, it's very cathartic. It is about releasing emotion. If you're not releasing the emotion you want to release, it doesn't get released. It just stays in there. You won't feel right and it will fester. So be honest to yourself. Play what you want to play. Second, perseverance. Being in a band is not easy. Never has been, never will be for anybody, ever. You will hate each other, you will love each other, you will be pissed off at each other, you will probably piss on each other, literally. The thing is, if you give up, it ends there. It's where it ends. Don't give up. If you have to like start other bands, keep it going. Something will click one day and it will all make sense.
Roger that.
So, first, drummers, when your set is over, don't break your fucking drums down on the stage, right? And guitarists, get a fucking tuner. I don't want to listen to you tune in between songs, okay? And in the same vein, you know, to me, I grew up, I liked anything I liked. When I was about 7 years old, I was exposed to heavier music, and for whatever reason, it really resonated with me. I really enjoyed it, and that's been a passion of mine for a long time. When we wrote the Chief album, I listened to a lot of hip-hop. I've been very disappointed with metal and the posturing and the, like, I fucking sound angry, but you're not, dude. You're not convincing me. You know, I listen to hip-hop and I listen to stories, and, you know, I look for the artists that are convincing in what they're doing.
Yeah, you're not angrier than Ice Cube on Death Certificate.
No shit. No shit at
Just
all.
not.
And, you know, a lot of old country, it's stories. It's real shit that to them, even though it's not, it's heavy to me because it's real. So in the same vein, and following what you're passionate about and being a part of those sounds, like I said, I've been in a lot of bands since I was a teenager, and I've, you know, kind of sought these guys out and went through a lot of weeds and bullshit and people, and these are the guys that are serious about it, and that's very important. And you have to be convincing, and I think being passionate, being real, and being honest about it is that. And I think something else that's been forgotten in heavy music these days and metal is the whole sounding angry thing. If you're not fucking angry, write about something else to me, because it's metal, punk rock, all of that is about being an individual. That's a badass. You are you, no matter who you are. Be proud of that, stand up for it, be passionate about it, and represent that in the music that you're doing. So if you want to write a soft song that's soft or whatever because the guitars aren't distorted and the drums aren't fast, that's what we felt like writing. And to me, when I sing that song with this band, it's heavy as fuck. It's so fucking heavy because of what it's about, and you know, a chill will go up my spine as I'm singing it. That's fucking heavy. It doesn't always have to be fucking abrasive, you know. I love that. I love it. You know, with the dynamic and the group of guys that are in this band now, really awesome. Just create stuff that's heavy and create stuff that's real.
Well, I really got to ditto a lot of what both of them said about, you know, being an individual and really staying true to yourself, because, like, you know, I mean, if you're just trying to fake an image, like, people will see it. People will hate you. They will fucking hate you. And
including us.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll sniff you out and then.
But I mean, I think that the important things, you know, don't take all the opportunities you can get. Play as much as you can. Play in as many places as you can. You know, and play with as many new bands as you can. And you know, like, don't turn down opportunities for shows because you think this band is lame, or you don't think you fit with this band, because you don't know who's going to be at that show that might really, really, really like listening to you. You know, I mean, like,
or you
if
might
you're
get
really
influenced
young,
by who.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Or you
that
might
band
get
that you thought
influenced, or you might see somebody that you talk shit about because you thought, oh, that band plays new metal, or that band plays this other kind of metal that I don't like.
Yes. We have become gentlemen, thank you.
No, you can't judge other musicians because everybody else that's out there that's playing, that's being real and being an individual is expressing themselves. And whatever it is that they're doing, whether or not you like it, you need to learn to respect it. Because if you can't respect it, other people aren't going to respect you.
I'd say the biggest thing, man, is conviction. Just have whatever you decide is what you're going to do. It's like Kurt was saying, there's just a lot of bands that like half-ass it. They're in for the wrong reasons. They have their own agenda. They're not doing it for the sake of the fact that they need it. I play music because I need it. You know, to me, it's like Skip said, it's a catharsis. It's something that I need to get out of my system, and this is the perfect vehicle for that. And you know, I've always prided myself and this band on being very punk rock in our mentality, even though we play metal. You know, to me, I've always taken more of an inspiration from the punk rock side of things. You know, Black Flag, the Melvins, like that whole side of music. That to me, it's
Wait, we're a punk band? Oh, I'm out.
like to me, like if you sit there and you know, if you listen to or read, Henry Rollins getting the band, his time in Black Flag. That to me, when I read that, that was like the Bible. Like his whole, like you starve for what is yours. And no matter if anybody else believes in it, it's what is yours, is what you believe in, and you have the conviction to follow that through, even if you are literally starving for it. And to me, there's not enough bands, there's not enough artists that have that conviction to follow through because they're doing it for the wrong reasons. It's like Todd said, whether you're doing pop music or jazz or whatever, as long as you're doing it because that's what you believe in, and that's exactly what you want to be doing, and you need that, then you're doing it for the right reasons, and I will respect that.
Authentic.
I can pick it out. I watch bands play, and I'm like,
to me, I've always prided myself, like, to me, it's like when we get on stage, it's like a fucking energy bomb going off, and we're not going up there on twirling the guitars and trying to be, the coolest band. We're just up there and we're destroying, getting the shit out of us because it's necessary. Because I can't walk into my job and get the fuck out of the first person I see because obviously I don't have a job. So this is the way for us to be able to get all this negativity out of it in a positive fashion. And if it resonates with anybody else, then that's incredible. If anybody else finds something in what we do and is either inspired by it, put off by it, or they take what they see and it forces them to either write something that's better or whatever, then we've done what we set out to do. And that to me is the best thing that you could ever say about your band is that you affected somebody in some way, whether it's positive, negative. To me, I love the fact that we're not a band that you're like, oh yeah, Lord's all right. Like you're either gonna fucking love us or you're gonna hate us, and that's perfectly fine.
We don't really allow ourselves to be ignored.
Yeah.
And,
We don't have
one way or another, there's going to be a reaction.
Especially with the front man.
Yeah.
He's got that front man complex.
I guess, not serious question.
Oh, great.
Not serious question.
Get good, say what?
For those who are using, for those who are using artificial feelings and that kind of stuff, do you feel like there should be specifically a subgenre of metal just for that?
I don't think they should.
Yeah, it's hard to say because
I'd rather just light them all. Get out of here.
Folk metal. To me, I think it's any genre. I think any genre where you're not being legitimate. It's the same thing in punk. To me, it's what metal was supposed to be was the anti to everything else. Your Venom, your whatever. Any of these bands that came out was supposed to be the anti to what was good. Especially in the 80s, as you look back on it, you get the PMRC and all these bands that were playing it safe, the hair metal bands, and here comes all these fucking bands that are just like, fuck you to everything you stand for. And we are that. But the thing is, anytime you get one of those bands that sets that standard, there's 30, 40 other bands that come out and half-ass what the originators did. And then it becomes the status quo. So that becomes the status quo. It's what happened with like the new American, like your Lamb of Gods, your Kill Switches, like all these bands. yeah, like that first generation was cool, and then 40 other bands followed the, you know, the formula. Like, oh, I can sell platinum records by just doing this and pretending I'm pissed about something. You know, to me, it's like when you listen to those old like punk bands, like Minor Threat, Dead Kennedys, you know, Black Flag, any of that shit was pissed. He was legitimately fucking pissed. Bad Brains, any of that stuff. He was just exploding and just being angry about where your life was. And to me, it's like, if you're not being legitimate, then don't fucking do it. Go write pop music. That's what it's there for. So if you want to appeal to a mass audience, then that's what that's there for. That's fine, as long as you're honest about it. Be Taylor Swift, but don't go be Slayer. You know?
Yeah, I remember talking to Will about there was the early years of Century Media Records. They had some band that was it Green Day, and all of them came out and became big. And in their bio, it literally says they were a death metal band until Green Day came out, and they changed their sound. And then, sure enough, the sampler, you know, got Emperor, Moonspell, The Gathering, when Annika joined, and all this stuff. And here's this band going, hey, just this stupid wankery. I'm like, I can tell it's fake, and your bio says it right there.
Yeah, I would never say that anybody shouldn't be creative.
Light that shit on fire, get out of here.
Everybody to be creative. You know, there are photographers that have a true passion for photography, and they take amazing photographs that really resonate with people and make them think and evaluate and feel something when they look at the photos. I'm not going to say they shouldn't take photos. You're always going to have musicians. You're always going to have people that paint. You know, same thing with the photos. Everybody should paint. And every now and again, you see a painting that just like strikes you, and you can't forget it. And there's a difference between a musician and an artist. And you know, you can play music, and there's always going to be people that play music, and that's a great thing. You know, to go out and hear just people playing music wherever you're going out to eat. You know, it may not be the most amazing new experimental pushing the boundary of anything you've heard before sound, but there's still an innate human response to hearing music. So I feel like it always has a place. Whatever, I mean, I wouldn't tell anybody that they shouldn't be creative for whatever their outlet is. It does make it more difficult to find heavy bands that I truly love. There's more shit to sift through now, you know. Many times are different. I used to get metal magazines and read interviews with the bands that I liked, what bands they were touring with, what t-shirts they wore, what bands they talked about, who did, you know, a guest solo on their album or vocals or whatever. You know, we find out about new bands that way. And I feel like then it's easier to find better bands. I don't know. I also think it's harder for me to find something I like at this point in my life because I'm not young in everything that I'm hearing and experiencing through music. So that's something to take into account also for somebody that, you know, maybe I think they sound angry. Maybe they're genuinely angry for their threshold and experience in the world of being an angry person, and to me, dealing with the anger that I've dealt with in my life, I just don't feel it. It just doesn't hit me hard enough. That's just me having a response, or you know, to me, I would say, you know, I don't like that. It's awesome. You gotta enjoy it. You gotta have fun.
Oh, without a doubt, you
gotta love it.
It's too much glory work, as I call it. A lot of time away from home or what have you. Yeah, you gotta love it.
There's so much bullshit that is in life, and if you don't deal with bullshit in your life, it's gonna eat you.
You're not gonna.
Your life is not, you know, with like, I guess what I consider to be human existence. If you have no problems or bullshit, like, yeah, like, who are you? You're bullshit free. Yeah. So there's no room for bullshit in this. There's no room for not giving it everything that you are. If I die tomorrow, I die tonight. This is the last thing that I was able to do, the last footstep I made on physical earth.
Well, I'd like to thank Lord for being my special guest for today. This is Wilson Rivera from Wilson Sessions, and remember, If you are not playing, you are not living.